William, great to have you on CNBC this morning. What is your view just hours ahead now? Do you think it's too close to call?
Oh, very much so. I mean, normally these party decisions are snooze fests, right? There's not a lot of drama that goes into them. Typically, the media within the days ahead have sussed out the most likely victor. This time around, as you mentioned in your intro, we have an unprecedented number of candidates. We've whittled it down to maybe 3 frontrunners, but I think this is an election that really is too close to call. And as you mentioned, we will have a runoff later in the day. And I certainly have my popcorn out, waiting in suspense to see what happens.
When you look at the commentary, it sounds like people think Takaichi-san will be the best candidate, perhaps, of the 3 when it comes to markets. But I'm wondering which candidate you think would be best for the real economy.
Well, I mean, that's a very open question. There's not a great deal of daylight between the 3 frontrunners in terms of economic policy, but there are a couple of differences. Takaichi, for example, she fancies herself a kind of Abenomics continuity person. And so she, in many ways, is reluctant to see the BOJ raising interest rates. She's very worried about the BOJ raising rates again, about the yen rising. However, Ishiba, certainly he seems to be more favorable towards the BOJ raising interest rates. He's very concerned about the extent to which the yen is weak. It's reducing purchasing power, and it's hurting household and business confidence. And so, Koizumi Jr., he's the middle of the roader in terms of the economy. He's talking about corporate revival. So there's not a lot of daylight between these candidates, but there are some important differences.
And just on foreign policy, we do see deviations as well with these 3 frontrunners. What do you think that's going to mean in terms of relations with the US? Of course, they are in an election cycle themselves, as well as with China.
Well, Takaichi and Ishiba are very well-known China hawks. And so it will be interesting to see the extent to which, when one of those individuals steps into power, the extent to which they might return to the saber rattling of old. One of the, arguably, Kishida's most important achievements has been foreign policy, has been working with South Korea, has been in some ways trying to mend fences with China while also basically maintaining relations with the U.S. in very important ways. So this kind of balancing act that Kishida has pulled off is going to be a big challenge for the next leader. And the extent to which that leader will look at, saber rattling towards China as a way to distract from domestic challenges, that could be an interesting dynamic, and that's something to keep an eye on. But certainly, whoever steps into the prime ministership later today, their goal number 1 is to maintain good ties with the U.S. at this point, which is its own can of worms, given the election happening there and the odds or the risk, I would argue, that Trump might come back in January of 2025. So it's a very, very uniquely chaotic moment for Japanese politics and for geopolitics surrounding it.